This. I literally cannot believe this. This is absolutely insane. Somehow Joe Biden is implicated. You heard that correctly. Somehow Joe Biden is involved in the latest release of the JFK files that everybody's been waiting on pins and needles all day for these files to get released. And somehow vegetable in chief Joe Biden makes it in there. Come on in, everybody. We are live. We are going to discuss the newly released, it is March 18th, 2025, the JFK files that President Trump promised us yesterday have just been released only a few hours ago. There's thousands and thousands of documents. As I always do, because I work 24/8, I bleed for you, America. Quite frankly, probably he's the greatest of all time. Thank you, Mr. President. I love you. I have found some things that are absolutely unreal. And ladies and gentlemen, my fellow Americans, my fellow global citizens, I think it's official. I think the CIA actually did it. Something maybe a lot of us have already known, something even Oliver Stone, somebody who I have utmost respect for, did an entire movie about. I think it's official, and I'm going to share with you what I have found so far. Before we go into everything, I just want to give a huge caveat, okay? There are tons and tons of files. They are all unredacted. But what I've got right now is CIA, Russia, KGB, Cuba, Lee Harvey Oswald, and a whole lot more. And so stick around because I have gone through the files so far that I think are the most juiciest, controversial, illuminating, if you will, on what actually happened. And I am just absolutely blown away. I can't wait to share this with you. So I'm gonna kind of screen share here and share with you something that I think is probably. We're just gonna jump right into it because, oh my goodness, it is absolutely insane. Oh my gosh, it's just crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. I'm probably gonna have to do an entire series. So make sure you follow and subscribe because it's absolutely free. It doesn't cost you a thing. But let's just jump right into it because we have to get into it. This is insane. If you're watching this on the replay, give me a capital TR in the comments. If you're watching this live, let me know where you're joining me from, what city, what state, what country. So here's what I'm going to share with you right now. I'm going to screen share, and I have shared. This is a file that I think is probably the most incriminating. And it is just remarkable, is what it is. And what I think I'm going to do is, hold on a second here. Okay. So this is what I want to do. Okay. So what you see right there is a classified document, one of many classified documents. And I'm going to kind of zoom in here so you guys can see this on the screen, and I will read it for you. So this is one of the documents so far that I've discovered that have been absolutely the juiciest, next to the mention of Joe Biden, and I will get to that very, very shortly. Okay, so there is a guy, this is a memo which reads right here, the subject is a John Garrett Underhill. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in a little bit more here so we can really kind of see this. And I will read everything for you. I will read it out loud so you can put your, make sure that you put your, let me see if I can make this a little bit bigger here. Hold on a second here. Okay. I'm just going to make this a little bit bigger here. Sorry, I'm just so excited because this is absolutely insane. It is absolutely insane is what this is, okay? All right. So here's what I'm going to do. So this is a guy, okay, who this is a guy right here. This is a memorandum. Okay, I'm going to stop messing with this because this is driving me crazy. I just want to make sure you guys really see this. Okay. So let me see. I'm going to read this, one of the declassified documents that came out today regarding, and I'm going to give you a background. I'm going to give you context on everybody who's involved on who this guy is. So, John Garrett Underhill Jr. This memorandum reads June 1967, contains the following passages about this guy by the name of Gary Underhill. And here is a testimony, if you will, that says, listen to this. This is insane. The day after the assassination, Gary Underhill left Washington in a hurry. Late in the evening, he showed up at the home of friends in New Jersey. He was very agitated. A small clique within the CEI was CEI. It's late. Holy mackerel. A small clique within the CIA was responsible for the assassination. He confided, and he was afraid for his life and probably would have to leave the country. Less than 6 months later, Underhill was found shot to death in his Washington apartment. The kicker, the coroner labeled it a suicide. The coroner labeled it a suicide. Now, I'm going to explain to you why that's absolutely nuts. So who is this J. Garrett Underhill? He'd been an intelligent agent during World War II, was recognized authority on limited warfare and small arms. He was a researcher and writer on military affairs. He was on a first-name basis with many of the top brass in the Pentagon. He was also on intimate terms with a number of high-ranking CIA officials. He was one of the, this is directly from the declassified documents that just came out today, ladies and gentlemen. He was one of the agency's quote-unquote unpeople. This is a really interesting moniker. What does that mean, unpeople? Who perform special assignments. What do you guys think that means, quote-unquote unpeople? Undercover, operative, did not exist, probably doesn't have any records at that time, was a complete apparition. Harvey the Rabbit, a ghost. Subterfuge, undercover, right? This is insane. Who performs, so he was one of these unpeople who performed special assignments. At one time, he had been a friend of Samuel Cummings of Intermarco, the arms broker. This is the arms broker that numbers among its customers. Guess who it is? Ding, 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 ding. Tell him what he's won, Bob. Yep, it's the CIA. Ironically, Klein Sporting Goods of Chicago is one of his customers. And this is exactly where the mail order Carcano allegedly was purchased by Lee Harvey Oswald. Holy macadamian nut. This is pure insanity. Absolute pure insanity. But wait, there's more. Oh my gosh, this is just absolutely crazy. I'm gonna make this even a little bit. Let's see if I can make this a little bit. Yeah, I mean we have to make this bigger. We have to make this bigger. It's insane. Okay. Now here's the crazy. I want to talk about the. There's more to this memo here, and it cuts off. Again, just released today. Check out what Underhill's friends said about him when he was in this state of panic, thinking they were going to come after him and go after him and end his life. The friends whom Underhill visited say he was sober but badly shook. They say he attributed the Kennedy murder to a CIA clique which was carrying on a lucrative racket in gun, running narcotics and other contraband and manipulating political intrigue to serve its own ends. Does that sound familiar, ladies and gentlemen? Let me know in the comments. Kennedy supposedly got wind that something was going on and was killed before he could, quote, blow the whistle on it, end quote. Although the friends had always known Underhill to be perfectly rational and objective, they at first didn't take his account seriously. Quote, I think the main reason was, end quote, explains the husband, quote, that we couldn't believe that the CIA could contain a corrupt element every bit as ruthless and more efficient as the mafia. Well, I mean, after, years and years of mistrust, distrust, nefarious activities, being caught red-handed multiple times, you got to remember this is a completely different time period, right? This is the 50s and the 60s. And so even though there was conspiracy theorists, and I mean, it was highly frowned upon. I mean, people trusted their government. They're coming from post-World War, they're coming from FDR, Ike Eisenhower, Truman, et cetera, et cetera. So, I mean, even though there were scandals here and there, the country trusted their government. It wasn't until really after Nixon, which that's a whole nother story, and everything that's come out in the last 60, 70 years that has, illuminated so much and caused conspiracy. It's like Trump said, all the conspiracy theories are now true. This is insane. So if somebody like Underhill was saying, hey, they're going to come get me, they're going to come kill me, I'm telling you, the government did this. It was a clique within the CIA. You got to do something. Holy mackerel, they did it. They killed Kennedy. You're going to be like, this guy's nuts, especially back then. Now, check out the suicide. The coroner said it was suicide. Check this out. The verdict of suicide in Underhill's death is by no means convincing. His body was found by a writing collaborator, Asher Brines of the New Republic. He had been shot behind the left ear, and an automatic pistol was under his left side. Make it make sense. So let me paint this picture for you. If you're taking your own life, okay, hold on a second. I got to look at you guys for a second. This makes no sense, okay? Pretend this is a gun. This is the most uncomfortable way imaginable. This is my left hand, okay? This is my left ear on the right side of your screen. If you're watching this on TV or your phone or what have you. This is the oddest, most bizarre, most unlikely, highly improbable way anybody in their right mind would take their own life. Especially if you're somebody who is very well versed. This guy remember, he was on a first name basis with the top brass at the Pentagon. This guy wasn't a sissy or a first timer or a rookie or amateur. You're going to do it like this? No, you're going to either do it like this in the mouth. You're going to do it in an efficient manner to make sure there's as little pain as possible and that you don't make any mistakes, right? And you don't fail. That makes absolutely no sense at all. So he was shot behind the left ear and an automatic pistol was under his left side. Odd, says Brines, because Underhill was right-handed. So it makes no sense. There is no way in a million trillion years you could convince me that this Underhill fella took his own life. So that's why I started off the show. Again, I'm just, I want to caveat all this. This just came out today. I've been going through this like a madman, trying to decipher, discern, analyze, see what is really the most kind of noteworthy, newsworthy to bring to you guys. There's a lot of stuff in there that has no meaning whatsoever, has literally no meaning whatsoever. A big nothing burger. But there's some stuff in here, man, that will absolutely knock your socks off. Brines thinks the pistol was fitted with a silencer, and occupants of the apartment building could not recall hearing a shot. Okay, so who is this guy? Well, he died in 1964. When was JFK assassinated? November 1963. So he died very shortly after that, right? That's the only photo I could find of him on his Wikipedia page. Here are the key points. Research suggests that Gary Underhill, a military affairs writer with alleged why can't I say this? So, by the way, they're probably going to delete this video. God knows. Please, God, protect me and my family. If you're watching this on the replay, let me know in the comments because I'm positive they're going to get rid of this video. Which alleged CIA ties claimed a small CIA group was behind JFK's assassination, as noted in these declassified files, which just happened today. It seems likely that Underhill told friends of his fears shortly after the assassination, but his death 6 months later, so only 6 months after JFK's assassination, he was found, which in a very suspicious way, he was right-handed. Supposedly, he shot himself in the ear with his left hand, and the pistol was on the left side of his body by his left hand. Makes no sense at all. The evidence leans toward his claims, fueling conspiracy theories, though official records maintain his death. Official records, of course. So this guy was born in Brooklyn. He was a Harvard graduate with a background in military intelligence. He served in the military intelligence service during World War II. So again, this guy would not be an amateur. There's no way in a million years you could tell me that this guy would be an amateur if he really wanted to do it. Thank you, The Karen Show. Thank you for the $50 super chat. Love your passion. I wonder if there will be anything in the paperwork about Dorothy Kilgallen, the reporter found dead in her bed. She knew. Oh, yes. She knew who was involved, was about to come out with it live from Australia. Love from Australia. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jim Barron. It's great to see you. I love you, man. Best mods in the business. Thank you so much, Harry Parrott, for the $2 super chat. Thank you, The Karen Show. That is absolutely phenomenal. Yes, I'm sure that, by the way, I'm going to probably do, I've said this once, I'll say it twice, I'll say it again. I'm going to do a whole series. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of documents unredacted. This is just part one, y'all. Following his assassination, he told friends, including Charlene Fitzsimmons, that a small clique within the CIA was responsible. He claimed Lee Harvey Oswald was a patsy. Now, here's something that I want to share, which I think is really, really important. So this was within days of it happening, and he also relayed this in a letter to Jim Garrison during his investigation. But for some reason, he wasn't taken seriously. And then after 6 months, he was taken out. Now, here's something that I want to talk about. I'll publish this whole, this is my outline right here to kind of give more background of who this guy was, what he did, how he was involved, and what he exactly said and reported. Now, there's something going on with the Russians, okay? There's something going on with the Russians. Now, before I share this letter from the ambassador to Russia, I want to share this right here, which I think is so absolutely incriminating. It's going to blow your lid. So this letter right here is insane, which was written in 1977, talking about August of 1963. But I want to share this first because this to me is really, really crazy. And I have to talk about this. So this is taken, okay? Let me know if you guys can see this. I'm going to zoom in on this. Okay, so this document right here, okay? This document right here is taken from the Colombian consulate, officials of Cuba. So we all have pretty good information that Lee Harvey Oswald was connected to Cuba. Cuba was connected to Russia. The whole Bay of Pigs, Cuban Missile Crisis, Khrushchev had missiles stationed on Cuba You've got young Kennedy, who literally just became president. I mean, can you imagine? Put yourself in the shoes, put yourself in the shoes of John F. Kennedy. You're a young guy, you're barely 46, and you've got the entire military industrial complex who are in their 70s, late 60s, looking at you like this green nobody who knows nothing, essentially saying, "What are you doing? You've got bombs and missiles from the Soviet Union 90 miles off the coast of America. You need to attack." And he's literally saying, "Hold the phone. I want to think about this. I want to breathe." Imagine if he didn't defy all of those Joint Chiefs of Staff and all of those military leaders. Can you imagine? Okay. So this is a really interesting letter. This is another very, very incriminating, and I think gives a lot of exposure and illuminates a lot about what happened. So I'm going to read this for you. This is just declassified today. I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit. Hold on. I'm going to try to zoom in just a little bit more here so we can hopefully see this. Okay. The following remarks are made by officials of the Cuban embassy in Santiago regarding the assassination of President Kennedy. The date of this is November 22, 1963. So this literally, and it was distributed November 23rd, 1963. So Chile, Santiago. So on November 22, Jose Toja, vice president of the Chilean Cuban Cultural Institute and director of the pro-Castro leftist press Ultimate Hora, informed Pedro Martinez Perez, who was in charge of the Cuban embassy in Santiago, that Kennedy had been assassinated. Toja said, "Este asunto de Kennedy se está poniendo color de hormigas," possibly means assassination of Kennedy looks like it could have serious repercussions. Martinez commented that he heard that the person arrested was president of a Fair Play for Cuba committee, that if the Yankees or CIA assassinated Kennedy to resume the assault on Cuba, then a third world war would start. He said things are very clear and there is no doubt they have assassinated him. The contradictions are well defined and the moment was very special, like that of the Maine. Martinez said the United States is now in the most difficult position of the past several years in Latin America. The world, Goulart, Argentine petroleum, Peruvian lands, Chilean mines, and in general, all over Latin America. Toja said he was very worried after reading the cable traffic. Martinez added that if the USA is thinking of invading Cuba, then they must have everything all prepared and all the strategy ready, and therefore the alarm must be given so that Cuba can be prepared. Okay, so just a recap on this. Upon learning of JFK's assassination, upon learning of JFK's assassination, Cuban diplomats immediately assumed the CIA killed JFK for the purpose of finishing what it started with the Bay of Pigs invasion. In a separate deposition, one American intelligence operative noted that multiple CIA assets connected to a particular CIA agent had been spreading, quote, misinformation, end quote, that Cuba was behind the assassination in the immediate wake of JFK's murder. So is that motive exactly what I was telling you guys earlier? You've got a young, how old was he? He was younger than I am. How old was JFK in 1961, 1962 during the Bay of Pigs? He was 46, 47. You had this major military industrial complex, these old guys with gray hair, probably in their late 60s, early 70s. And they're saying, man, this guy doesn't know what the hell he's doing. This guy doesn't know what the hell he's doing. This guy's just a baby. He's a 46-year-old. He was raised by rich Joe Kennedy. He had a silver spoon, Ivy League academic. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing. We've got Russia knocking on our back door. We've got Khrushchev putting missiles on Cuba. He needs to attack. He needs to attack now. And Kennedy says, please let me breathe. Early 40s? How old was he? I thought he was like in his mid 40s. How old was JFK? Somebody tell me I forget. Somebody tell me in the comments, how old was JFK? Holy macadamia nut. Okay, then I've got this. Okay. Then I've got this. Sergei. So Russia, Kostanovich, So this is what I'm going to say before I read this. Okay. There's a lot from these documents. There's a lot. Thank you, Mr. John. Mr. John said he was 42 when he was elected. Okay, man, what a baby. So can you just imagine what that room must have felt like? Randall May says 46. Thank you, Randall. Can you imagine? So I'm 48. Can you imagine what that room must have felt like with those guys breathing down your neck? It must have been absolutely insane. So what I'm getting at here is what Underhill discovered was perhaps that the CIA planned a coordinated assassination. Harvey Oswald was involved, but what these documents imply, they're actually the Grassy Knoll Theater, the Grassy Knoll Theater, the Grassy Knoll, my mind's going a million miles a second here. The Grassy Knoll theory is in play. The Grassy Knoll theory is in play. Multiple assassins, multiple snipers, multiple attackers. It wasn't just Lee Harvey. And what Underhill faced with this sham coroner report saying it was suicide, I just find it hard to. Does anybody believe that you could actually commit suicide in that fashion? He was right-handed. It was a left-handed pistol behind the left ear. The pistol was found by his left foot. Makes no sense at all. And Russia was involved. Castro did say to Khrushchev, you need to attack the U.S. and you need to attack the U.S. now, because he knew that Kennedy was at a weak point, at a soft point, because they were hedging. Khrushchev said no. Apparently, allegedly. Maybe he said no because they had a plan. They had a plan. I don't know. The CIA wanted him gone. Thank you. Thank you, The Karen Show. 46 years old when he died. He was born on May 29th, 1917. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Oh my gosh, I need a drink. This is insane. This just confirms so much. It confirms so much. The Russians were involved. The Russians were involved. Okay, this is Sergei Kosornohonov. I don't know, I can't say that right. To Russian ambassador, this is a retyped letter from handwritten to Russian ambassador, embassy of the USSR, and it is signed Sergei Kosorno, who is the Russian ambassador at that time. Dear sir, Mr. Vasilev Consul gave me order to transmit this information to the U.S. government. This was just released and declassified today. On August 9th, 1963, in Sofia, Bulgaria. Mr. Vasilev, Consul of Embassy of USSR, gave me this information about Mr. Lee Harvey Oswald on August 14th, 1963. President Kennedy was assassinated in November. So what are we looking at? That's 4 or 5 months earlier. Mrs. Basara Asenovov, girlfriend of Russian consul, came to my room and repeated that Mr. Lee Harvey Oswald is assassin. He will kill President Kennedy. Back in August, they knew. On August 15, 1963, in Sofia, Bulgaria, at the airport in embassy car, I told to, you can kind of tell it's sort of broken English, to Mr. Blackshire, American Vice Consul, that Mr. Lee Harvey Oswald is assassin. He has a weapon or has ordered one. Mr. Blackshire said it seems like he will kill someone. I said that Mr. Lee H. Oswald is preparing to kill President of the United States, F. Kennedy. Mr. Blackshire said, where will it happen? I said, they, in parentheses, right wing, will invite president, criticize him in the newspaper, then kill him. Mr. Blackshire told me he will give the telegram to Department of State, and he gave me the address where to report. At 9 a.m. on August 19th, 1963 in Washington, D.C., I went to see Mr. Kippingen, Director of Special Counselor Service at the State Department at 1901 Pennsylvania Avenue on the 11th floor. I told the director, I have information about President Kennedy. The director said, do not mention name of President Kennedy. Only respond to the questions. Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm getting chills right now. Who's getting chills right now? I mean, the hairs on the back of my neck are going up. Holy mackerel. This is insanity. Insanity. We have proof, y'all. Do not mention President Kennedy. The director said, tell us what will happen to Mr. Lee Harvey Oswald then. Now, the reason why this is highlighted is this was in August of 1963. The Russian ambassador is predicting, I said, Mr. Lee H. Oswald will be killed after kill Kennedy. I said, I will take the truth drug to tell the truth. Director, tell us who else gets killed in this country. I said, as I heard, that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. will be killed. Who will kill Dr. King Jr., Negro leader? I said, a man who is in prison at this time. Mr. James Earl Ray was in prison at that time. Wow. Wow. This is months before, years before MLK, but months before the assassination. Director asked where assassination will happen. I said in Dallas, Texas. Director said, if someone gave this information here, I would expel the man. Director did call on FBI agents after FBI used anesthesia gas to freeze me, to drug me, to keep me amnesia. I told Director, Department of State, that Mr. Lee Harvey Oswald has a weapon. Go see him. The director told me, you too can have weapon. So what if Oswald has a weapon? Holy macadamia nut. Okay, do you guys understand the implications of this? How many people can tell me what that implies? That letter, which just got declassified today. I don't know what number it is. I'll find out for you, I promise. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. This is 95. Let's see. What letter number is this? Okay, so there's another document that got declassified that I highlighted, which basically said that Oswald was a poor shot when he tried firing in the USSR. Being trained, because he was a communist ally, he was a communist sympathizer. Even the movie, the Oliver Stone movie, talked about that. But this letter by Sergei is, to me, one of the most powerful declassified, maybe even more powerful, because the Underhill letter is all just, you can almost say it could be a conspiracy theory. It could be construed as invalid. It's a very, very profound claim. It's a very controversial claim. It sounds like he was agitated. It sounds like he was paranoid. It sounds like he may have not been in his right mind. I'm just saying those are arguments that could have been made. His death being labeled a suicide makes zero sense at all. Zero sense. But this is a letter from the ambassador of Russia? Holy macadamia nut. This is insane. And the fact that you have, Cuban diplomats in the letter that I read to you before, immediately assuming that the CIA killed JFK for the purpose of finishing what it started with the Bay of Pigs invasion. Tell me that doesn't make sense. That makes sense, does it not? Tell me that doesn't make sense. Okay, you want to see something crazy? I'm ready to show you something crazy. Joe Biden, ladies and gentlemen, I know it's blurry, but I'm going to read it for you. Joe Biden, this is, oh my gosh, this was recorded on September 16th, 1994. I was in high school. September 16th, 1994. This was a letter from John F. Kennedy Jr. This was a letter to Senator Joe Biden, where he states explicitly, listen to this. This is an envelope postmarked Worcester, Massachusetts, August 1994, bearing the handwritten, hand-printed address of Senator Joseph Biden. And the beginning of the letter states, "Dear Senator Biden, you are a traitor," bearing the signature of John F. Kennedy Jr. He tried to warn the United States, writing a letter to his face, that you, Senator Biden, are a traitor. Let me ask you a serious question. Who has destroyed our country in the last 4 dark, abysmal years? Somebody tell me in the comments. Who has let a red carpet out for millions and millions of criminal illegal aliens who have laid siege to American cities, who have mortally wounded Americans, including Laken Riley and Jocelyn Nungare? Who is that? I got to sneeze. I beg your pardon. They're probably filling my room up right now as we speak with some kind of gas. I'm going to pass out and have a stroke right in front of all you guys. There's nothing wrong with legal immigrants. My parents were legal immigrants. We want legal immigrants. This is a country built on legal. As Tom Homan, the Border Czar, says, go through the legal systems and processes through port of entry. He gave them a red carpet. And the reason he gave them a red carpet was so that he could fill up these swing states with potential voters, giving them radical, accelerated citizenship that was unearned. Sound familiar? DEI didn't earn it. Discriminatory, anti-American, anti-merit policies. JFK Jr. warned us about this guy. JFK Jr. And then, okay, somebody tell me the exact date. When did JFK Jr. die? When did JFK Jr. die? When did he die? July 16th, 1999. JFK Jr. died just a couple years after this letter. Holy macadamian nut. This is insanity. Somebody stop the insanity. So, a big recap. You have this guy right here, okay? If you're just joining us, just a quick recap. Really quick. This is going to take a second. You have Gary Underhill, who was a military intelligence official. He was a military trained individual who was on a first name basis with top brass in the Pentagon, who paranoidly, haphazardly, scarily, in a very agitated state, said it was the CIA. This guy wasn't a pansy. This guy wasn't a ninny. He wasn't new to this stuff. He says it was a small clique within the CIA. He was afraid for his life. Less than 6 months later, he's found shot to death. The coroner ruled it a suicide. Declassified today. He was right-handed, his friends said. It was very bizarre. He was right-handed. There's no way that he could have done this, which makes no sense. The gun was also found on his left side. So very, 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 very odd, very bizarre, to put it mildly. I'm breaking my desk right now. I'm telling you right now. This is insane. The truth shall set you free. It truly does. I love the truth. I love the truth. This is why Trump won. His raw authenticity. This is why people like Chuck the Buck Schumer and Ghetto Full of Crockett and Vegetable in Chief Biden and Kamala Phony in Chief, that's why they're never going to win, because they don't have an authentic bone in their entire anatomy. The coroner said suicide. So that's a bunch of BS, right? And then we've got this guy. This is really insane. Sergey, who essentially went to the FBI, went to the director of the CIA at the State Department and said, I know what's going to happen. I know what's going on. This guy, Oswald's going to kill Kennedy. And they said, don't worry about it. We'll take care of it. Don't mention this. I know who's going to kill MLK. I know who's going to kill Martin Luther King Jr. Don't worry about it. Forget about it. We know what's going on. Let him do what he's going to do. It's not a big deal. And then I think the most incriminating, to be honest, I think the most incriminating is the fact that, that little boy at the funeral, JFK Jr. I think you just put two and two together, and you have a young president who was duly elected at the time in 1960, who was about as green as the pastures of Kentucky. And he said no. He said no to the military industrial complex. He said no to these old, weathered, experienced, established is maybe a better modifier, Joint Chiefs of Staff, military officials, directors of all the federal bureaus and agencies, who said, you need to attack. This guy's putting missiles 90 miles off the coast of the United States of America. You need to attack. And he said, no, I'm going to take a breath. I'm going to call Khrushchev. I'm going to try to figure this out. That's what he did. Can you imagine if he wouldn't have done that? Can you imagine if he didn't take that pause, if he didn't take that breath? Absolutely insane. By the way, Kentucky grass is blue. Exactly, it is. I apologize. Thank you. Thank you, Emil. I know. It's bluegrass of Kentucky. Kentucky. It's the bluegrass of Kentucky. Isn't that that Bill Monroe song? Yeah, I love it. So, I mean, this is extremely, extremely interesting. And yes, I want to get to this comment right here, because I think this has got to come out. This has got to come out. Thank you so much, The Karen Show. I'm going to check out your channel. I love that title. Is there anything going to be about Dorothy Kilgallen, who was the one that was found dead in her bed? She knew everybody who was involved and was about to come out with all of it. Love from Australia. That remains to be seen. There are thousands and thousands of documents, thousands and thousands of JFK files. And I've just begun I've done a pretty good job. I have to say so. Quite frankly, probably I did a very good job. I always watch Professor Nez, right? He's a good guy, good-looking guy. I like him a lot. Thank you, Mr. President. I love you. I went through quite a lot, okay? And what I've found and what I've shared with you is the most interesting. Now, there's one more thing that I don't know if this kind of has the Russian kind of connection, which again I don't think that's anything surprising, to be honest. But essentially, what it is that Kostanovich, who was KGB, I can't find the file right now. But essentially, I know what it's all about. I can tell it to you verbatim. Essentially, a KGB spy met with Harvey Oswald, Lee Harvey, and trained him, and that's where that here. Let me share this with you again. That's where this kind of came up with. So this is a top secret document that you see on the screen right now, and the operator is Edward Seeger. The doc date is November 20th, and I don't know if that's an exact, but it reads which might be raised. Nikonov personally reviewed KGB files to determine if Lee Harvey Oswald had been a KGB agent. He reviewed 5 thick volumes of files on Oswald. Nikonov is now confident that Oswald was at no time an agent controlled by the KGB. From the description of Oswald in the files, he doubted that anyone could control Oswald, but noted that the KGB watched him closely and constantly while he was in the USSR. He commented that Oswald had a stormy relationship with his Soviet wife, who wrote him incessantly. The file also reflected that Oswald was a poor shot when he tried target firing in the USSR. And that's what I have highlighted there. But all the documents that I've shared with you so far are, to me, the most interesting, and to me are the most illuminating on what exactly happened. I hesitate to say this, but I think we can actually confirm and officially say, as it has been proven, as you know, even Oliver Stone and even so many historians and scholars have noted, there's no way. The movie, I mean, depicted this perfectly. There's no way there was only one gunman. There's no way there was only one sniper. The trajectory of the shots, the spray from JFK's head, the kickback of his body, the grassy knoll is definitely something that is in full play here. And the fact that you have this Underhill guy and his very, very controversial coroner's report and his statements, what his friends said about him, the fact that they said he was right-handed, and so on and so forth, I think we can officially say the CIA was directly responsible, if not solely responsible, in the ending of John F. Kennedy's, the President of the United States, life on that fateful day in November in Dallas, 1963. Holy macadamia nut. This is just the beginning. This is just the beginning. I'm going through thousands and thousands. So make sure you follow, make sure you subscribe. I want to give a huge shout out. Emil, you're amazing. Thank you so much. Rob, MAGA, Michigan Patriot. Some say he's not dead, just hiding. Perhaps. Maybe he's not. I don't know. Texas Trav, thank you so much for the $1.99 super chat. You're amazing. Karen Show, I love you. Thank you so, so much, Karen Show. You're amazing. We got the best mods in the business. If you're just joining us, click on rewind. Watch the replay. I went through everything step by step. There's a lot of excitement. There's a lot of hubbub, but I tried to delineate and discern what are the most important parts. Make sure you check them out. Watch this from the very beginning. If you love America, please tap that thumbs up. It doesn't cost you a thing. Do it right now. It takes you less than 2 nanoseconds. Tap the thumbs up. They're going to delete this video. I want this to be shared to everybody. I want people to know the purpose of our channel is to make common sense go viral. We cannot let these radical hypocrites, aka Democrats, who hate our country, who hate that we're finding all the fraud, waste, and abuse, who hate that we're closing our border, who hate that we're making America safe again, great again, wealthy again, all of us prosperous again. Please tap that thumbs up. As always, thank you so much for being here. May God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America. I'll see you.